Way to go, thank you.
Yeah, right.
Okay, I called the special meeting of the WPCA and the POCD steering committee to order. And first order of business is the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to God, which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And our first item is public remarks. We don't have too big an audience, so if you want to raise your hand, I'll recognize you and anybody? Okay.
You have hands popping up.
Yeah,
I'm not sure why we're doing public remarks at a special meeting.
you should be. You should always be listening to the phone.
You wanted to talk? Go ahead.
Sure, if you want to take those first, that's fine.
No, go ahead.
Mike Pergolini, Fern Lane. And Middle Haven.
Do we have a microphone to the ones online?
Why don't you come up here and
I hate to do that to you, but they can't hear you online if you talk.
That's fine. Mike Pergolini, 16 Fern Lane, Middle Haven. I guess my public comments to start with is, why is this the first time that this map, and I had to ask for it, is being publicly available? What you're here pushing forward, some plan to develop a sewer system or approve some developable areas for proposed sewer systems. And nobody's ever had a look at it. Nobody
That's
other
from the
than
two
this committee has
thousand
had a
and
look
six
at it.
plan, your 2006 POCD.
Okay.
Is that this one?
That's fine, that's 2006, okay. So if it's 2006, why 20 years later are we still looking at a proposed sewer area? We just went through a large exercise in this town regarding the WPCA and the woman who chose to speak in my turn, Ms. Hodge, about the WPCA and the path that they were in. Any map or any changes to any map, I think need to have a fresh start. If either of those two individuals were involved, we need a fresh start with a map. Let's start there, okay? Because this is the same pattern of things get kept in the dark, things are not being out in the open. Let's get some information out there to the public. This map does not correspond directly to the East Hampton zoning map. In particular areas, R1, R2. There have been drafts of other maps thrown around that clearly have differences that show moderate and high levels of residential concentration in what are clearly labeled R1 and R2 on the town zoning map. Until there's some transparency and clarity as to those maps in the public arena, then I think any changes to a map, any approval of a map is out of place and out of time. And that's all I have to say.
thank you.
As I'm also the chairman of the
Actually,
POCD committee.
I have one more comment. Clearly state, if we're gonna do a map, under what state statute or town bylaw does this committee have the authority to change the utility maps that don't correspond exactly with the planning and zoning map? Again, what state statute or town bylaw does this committee have the authority to change any of the maps other than the East Hampton zoning map that exists today?
Okay, so let me just clarify a little bit. This meeting is not gonna write any maps, change any maps. It's a chance for the POCD to communicate its input and and anything else it wants to input to the WPCA.
If I may. First of all, this meeting, as part of the POCD process and the statute that you're looking for in chapter 124, there's a municipal plan of conservation and development scheduled for adoption on or after July 1st, 2015. That's when this statute was amended at one point. Shall, not may, shall identify the general location and extent of any, one, areas served by existing sewage systems, two, areas where sewage systems are planned, and three, areas where sewers are to be avoided. And identifying such areas, the commission, meaning planning and zoning commission, shall consider the provisions of this section and the priority funding provisions of chapter 297A. That's a reference to the state statute, which gets you to the state map that shows they have like priority funding areas, priority conservation areas, balanced growth areas. I can't remember all the names, but that's this map. That's the state plan of conservation and development. So the POCD has to be consistent with the state map and regional map. For this meeting, we were trying to pull out, you know, what map right now exists today? Like, what was the last map that was approved? And that map that you showed up, the small map, is what was in the 2006 POCD, which was the last time I believe the WPCA did their like facilities plan and created a map. In 2016, there was discussion back and forth about that, and the POCD, the Planning and Zoning Commission at the time, it wasn't a steering committee, decided not to put that whole map in, not to carry it forward to 2016. They took out some of the areas, like the areas that extend to the north of the lake up on, what is that hill, Mott Hill?
Yeah,
Up that,
7 Hill.
that top area. So some of the areas weren't on there, and that's this map. You can see the current service area and that historical area, which was supposed to be in the 2016 map, but they decided not to. So nothing's in the dark. Those are all in published approved plans, you know, that exist on the web and
WPCA was trying to run sewer lines down 151. None of that's been approved.
Okay, so we're in public comment now, so
That's.
are there any other?
Public comment is not a
That's where we are with the
discussion.
maps.
This is
We're-
crazy.
Well, if other people want to speak, line up, please.
Right, so this is 40147 Colchester Avenue. This is a very difficult process and it's very elaborate. So I just want to, big picture, just remind everybody what we decide as a town in a document written down becomes legal and is used and expected to be used against us by developers or the state itself in whatever we choose. So we gotta be very careful to cross our T's and dot our I's on the C's. So just wanted to give you, you guys, I know, preach to the choir, you guys all know this, but it's also for the public. Don't be aware that this is a very important document that needs to be thoroughly researched and understood. And pay particular attention to those special areas of town, like we know around the lake. We have Middle Haddam, which is very concerned about expansion of sewer, and those areas that we designate to be developable. We need to be absolutely sure what we want there, but because what we want may not be what we get, because we will be sued to do other ones. It's a very real probability that, and the state is working against us on this, so be very careful when we make our decisions here. I just wanted to make that comment, which I know I'm speaking to the fire on, but we all know this. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
Ann McKinney, 44 Long Hill Road, Middle Haddam, Connecticut. This is just a general comment. I've been involved now with meetings with water and sewer, zoning board of appeal, a number of different ones this year. I first have to applaud all of you that sit there and there and there and there, because you give of your time and a lot of time and a lot of effort to help town of East Hampton move forward. I think that this is an important time to regroup, to be very transparent, to gain the trust back of the citizens of East Hampton, who are really, I don't go on any of those sites, but I still hear, and it's unfortunate that there's so many people with such negativity. My request, and this is the third time, and I think it's only fair to every one of you that are sitting there with these maps in front, as well as the public. I tried and I asked at the other meetings to please, if you look at the statutes and things, to have if an application comes in, the application should be complete and thorough and correct before it's accepted. I know that this has been a difficult time and we have gone through numerous people, unfortunately, losing again. But I think it's important that as we begin again, that these rules are followed. Once an applicant knows that their application is not going to be accepted unless the T's are dotted, the I's are dotted, and it's done. And then when they're bringing in a map or any other documentation, it should be in, sometimes make it be a week, but it says 24 hours. I think it should be more. Now, I just came in to try to get some information on tomorrow night's meeting. It's not available. I called earlier today for today's. It's not available. I'm looking at it sitting in a chair. You're sitting there getting it in front of you. How are you going to answer a question, with any confidence when you haven't even had a chance to look at it yourselves? It's unfair to you. It's unfair to the public. And since we are trying to really, gain people's trust again, be transparent on whatever we're doing. I don't care what avenue we are looking at. We have to provide, and this is, it's fairly clearly stated. And why would you want to sit down and have somebody give you a map? And then those of us sitting out there, badgering you why you don't have an answer for us. So I would ask, our town manager and any of the work to please start this. And, once it's put into place and an applicant knows they have to provide the map at a certain, or any documentation at a certain time, it will happen. And it will only be, better for all involved. Thank you.
In our meetings, we like to answer the question. So first of all, the statute dictates how applications are received and when, and their timelines. Anybody you could submit an application to me on a napkin in crayon, and we have to accept it, no matter what state it is in. The commission then can immediately, deny it because it's not complete, but applicants have the right to submit whatever they want to submit. In whatever format, we are obligated by law to accept it on that date.
Planning and zoning.
Planning and zoning, yes. So
Even if it doesn't answer.
even if it doesn't check all the boxes or anything, and the commission's recourse is to either accept it and immediately deny it for being incomplete, or typically staff works with the applicant to try to get it complete. Statute requires that if there is a public hearing, that all the materials, maps, whatever's involved be in our office and at the town clerk 10 days prior to that, so people can review it. Material is often received at a meeting. That's okay. The commission can opt to not make a decision on something because they've gotten material, late in the game, or it didn't make that 10-day window. Then they can't make a decision on the application, but the process still proceeds. So you have, between 65 days and 6 months if you utilize all of your extensions to get something done. So it's not that we're trying to hide things, or, things come in when they come in, we have to accept them and we get it to the public as soon as possible. All the meeting materials are online for POC, for planning and zoning. They are there. So if you are having trouble finding them, I will help you do that.
Yeah, but I think my response to you would be the commission and whoever's chairing it has an obligation to require the highest standards.
The statute
The
dictates that.
statute allows. I mean, if you can then, why would you accept something on paper? If you're gonna do
You
that.
have to accept it. You have to accept it.
But then not go forward.
But that's up to the commission. They could opt to deny.
Well, I think if we keep going like this, you'll be having them come in on toilet paper. Yeah, I'm so upset.
We do try
Well,
to discourage that.
So but that is a planning and zoning issue and
And ZBA and wetlands.
not a WPCA.
WPCA probably follows the same statutes.
Okay, so, are there any online?
McEwen's?
Good evening and thank you. My name is Douglas McEwen, Middle Haddam. I'd like to point out that the 2006 and 2017 future land maps / sewer extensions were never voted on by the public. The other thing is I've also got reports from the Chatham Health Department that show there is no public health crisis going on in Middle Haddam. There's only been a few repairs since 2023. No water, contamination of the wells, and the few permits that were issued were for repairs. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Doug.
And it's the
Anybody
Planning and
else?
Zoning Commission who approves those maps, not the public. But they don't get a vote.
Alana?
My name is Alana Cashew. I'm on 26 Shipyard Road in Middle Haddam. My statement is simple: no new sewers that will result in dense development and congestion. Sewers have been rejected by the voters a couple of times, and I ask that you be very, like has been stated before, be very careful in imposing more congestion and development in our town. Thank you.
We have two more, right?
Evan?
Yes, Kevin Rogers, 8 Coughlin Road. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, it has been stated that the POCD is advisory only, as the nearly 2-year plan to bring a bio-waste company demonstrates. I would hope that whoever makes decisions in town management moving forward might reflect a little close,er excuse me, on the POCD that gets put forward by the people of East Hampton. It was just stated that planning and zoning basically approves everything, the maps that is, but the POCD is advisory to them, and that should be accounted for as well when they approve those maps. Thank you.
Thank you. One more?
iPhone?
Hello.
Hello?
Hi, you guys can hear me? This is Rebecca Harvey, Flanders Road. Bear with me here because I'm driving, but I did think it was important to call in. Couple of things. I'm wondering how we're referencing any data from the 2016 POCD survey, especially communications and decisions that were made, because besides the map itself, I was told that none of that data or correspondence even existed. So my FOIA was not fully satisfied because I was told none of this existed. So if there's nothing to back it up, how are we referencing that right now? Unless there's stuff that was left out by the town. Sewer expansion is not wanted. I'd like to mimic Kevin Rogers and Doug McEwen, who just spoke, and I have all the same concerns. The town has pretty much made that clear enough for us to just vote on a moratorium for no sewer expansion beyond where it already is. I don't know how much more clear even the POCD findings need to be that sewer expansion was not wanted or needed, and think that anything to do with the sewers and the WPCA at this point really needs to be put on hold until we have reliable sources working for our town hall that are able to execute the plans that the residents see fit, not what their agendas are. Thank you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Jacob Kravitz, 34 Walnut. I know we've talked a lot about sewers and water, and living really close to downtown, it's pretty apparent that the water out there is kind of crappy. I remember hearing in another town meeting that our throughput is pretty low, and there was talk previously about maybe putting in a pumping station or a treatment station so that when the time comes to pass that we actually do the remediation on the old factories, we actually can bring life to the center of the town, which would hopefully bring in businesses and contribute to the grand list. I know that there are a lot of naysayers about sewer expansion, but why wouldn't we expand down the busiest road in town? I just drove in. I came from Middletown. I work in Wallingford, and you drive in and there's like that empty strip mall and the kind of crappy looking liquor store. I know you don't want more congestion in Middle Haddam, but we already have to sit at that stoplight, or there's an accident on 66 and you have to go around because it's backed up for miles. Why not make it so that a restaurant or something could move into there and be successful and contribute to the town, contribute to the community, contribute to the grant list? I think a lot of people spend a lot of time in their cars, right? They drive to the supermarket, they drive to the pharmacy, they drive to where they're going to go. And there's not a lot of opportunities to have community events. But you think about Old Home Days and how happy everybody is to be there and see members of the community and have those serendipitous conversations. Having more restaurants in town where you're not forcing people to go out of town to eat something means you'll have a better opportunity to meet your neighbors and get to know them and not just have them be somebody behind a keyboard that disagrees with you, because we all have commonalities, and I think it's time that we start looking for them.
Thank you. If there's anybody else who wants to talk, line up.
Hi, Rebecca Hodge, 20 Old Middletown Road in Cobalt. I just want to say I did spend probably an hour and a half before this meeting trying to prepare myself. So I did go on the town site. I looked for maps. I found maps. Apparently they're not the right maps that we're going to talk about. I'll grab a copy when I walk by. I've looked at a lot of maps. Juliet knows the one that keeps me up at night, the February 19th map that has all my property in Cobalt as economic development in the red zone. And I appreciate what was just said about the liquor store in Cobalt. Not a fan, wasn't a fan of the flea market either. But that's the only little tiny strip in Cobalt at the one traffic light that is economic there. Up Depot Hill, Old Middletown Road, all that area is residential, nice residential community. Aside from one house, it's not bladed. It's a wonderful place. It doesn't need economic development. I'd love it if, a developer came in and made that god awful post office and parking lot better and whatnot, but that's all there is there. So, hopefully there's no economic development there. That part that was slated to between 66 and the airline trail is a good at least 50 feet. It's all ledge. And when we talk about bringing sewers to Cobalt, I'm not sure why there's no open parcels for development. It's on Depot Hill Road behind Great Hill, which is all ledge and all rock. I can't plant a flower in my yard without a jackhammer. So when you talk about bringing sewer up and through Cobalt, we're all gonna opt out. You need an excavator to dig a hole there. So there's no sense in bringing sewer through Cobalt. Everybody has their own infrastructure established and it just doesn't make sense. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so I'm gonna close public remarks. And I think the first order of business is for POCD to talk about what they want to talk about.
So I think it's important to understand that the POCD, just to try to calm everybody's nerves about this, the POCD, and my committee is here, is so far the draft is based 100% on the public input. Like the summaries from the public input, that's what has fed the goals, the primary objectives, the actions. That's the only thing it's based on. Some of the explanation and backup is based on the data analysis. I mean, the current demographic conditions that exist that are facts. I mean, they just are what they are. So nowhere in the plan so far are we proposing any grand expansion of sewer districts in particular. That said, the statute, again, that's in statute, there are required elements in a POCD that we can't blow off. We have to put it, they have to be in there. We have to write about them. We have to identify them on a map. And we all know that the state's big push right now, even outside of this process, is housing. So that is one of the areas that we can't ignore. has to be in there. It has to be discussed in the plan and some, you know, in some format, we should identify areas where it might be suitable. What the public told us and all the public input is that they would rather have dense housing or economic development in areas already serviced, you know, already in the sewer area and, or, you know, potentially, you know, immediately adjacent, that you wouldn't take a lot to run the line. Like Hampton Woods, for example, wasn't in your original area, but now there's a sewer line there, and so that area is inside of it. These maps, we're just trying to figure out what is the map? What is the official existing sewer map today? And these two maps, I mean, the best we can tell, the side is literally where the pipes are in the ground. Those are the lots they go to. That is the service area. The second map, the purple area, is where, on over several years, decades actually, there was envisioned expansion, like over in Cobalt, for example, on the other side of the property line, there was envisioned, I guess, at some point, an intermunicipal connection. I don't know the full history of all of it, but there's a lot of parcels that have very small parcel sizes that they probably wanted to include them as a potential area in case the septic systems failed and there's not enough room to put in another septic system. That said, of course, technology has changed. It's much different nowadays. I mean, it doesn't take as much room to put in a reserve system. So a lot of factors have changed. So, but our job as the POCD steering committee is to create what's called the future land use map. And that future land use map would show, at the very least, the area of the existing water and sewer areas. And then as we have gone through and tried to figure out where would it be okay to potentially focus our efforts on economic development and housing, and we would identify those. I think, you know, for this purpose, the village area has been identified as the area that we do want to focus most of the attention on. There's already sewer there. Water is the infrastructure that's needed in that area. Hampton Woods is, like I said, that's since 2016 has progressed. It was in the 2016 plan. So there's a few areas here that I think have been connected to sewer since this original map. And our job is to identify any other area that we might think is okay for housing or economic development. And Dave and I were going over it a little bit beforehand, and, you know, like, how would we want to change this map to reflect those areas? So for example, if we went right back to the existing, this is where the sewer service area is, where would we draw other areas that could support development? So we would add in Hampton Woods because it's already approved, it's gonna happen. We would add, you know, I don't know, we might think about Long Crossing, because that's most likely going to have some housing on it at some point because of the whole change in the statute. Middle housing will be allowed there. You know, so there's some easy spots we could pick that are in the sewer district already or immediately adjacent that are most likely to be developed with some sort of housing anyway. Developer's going to do it. And I don't know that 100%, but there's a good shot, especially with the ability to put in middle housing now. So, you know, you need to look at your commercial districts and your design development districts, and then all the rest of it, you know, for now, yes, you can not put on there, but again, the state is requiring you to show, if you have capacity, you need to show. Again, it's not a may, it would be nice to, you shall show areas that are appropriate for expansion. And
Actually, it says may in the
Done.
law. The law
Well,
says may.
Ours says shall, so. It's references.
My law says may.
Your bylaws aren't the state statute.
No,
offense,
no,
but-
I'm talking about state statute.
Yeah.
Says we may produce a sewer map.
WPCA?
Yeah.
You're the one that's supposed to do it, so.
No, it says may, we may.
Okay, well, we'll look at that because I don't think that's true. But anyway, you have done it. You've done it in the past appropriately. Some of the other maps that are on there, you know, that we were using for, they're drafts, you know, using for discussion. They aren't real. They don't exist. They were just for draft discussion. Those, you know, I think it's been immediately, I think all of us on our committees, correct me if I'm wrong, don't agree that this is what it should be. None of us agree that that should be, that it should expand that much, unless there's an environmental reason to do so. And if there is an environmental reason, you won't get a say in it anyway, DEP will make you put it there. So I think we can all agree that, no, we've heard the public. You know, don't feel it should expand in all these areas, but there are, like, you know, a couple little areas here and maybe here that we could agree on as an area that we can identify to satisfy the requirements of the statute for the POCD, that we need to make some effort to identify them. When we do that, when the PNC approves it, whoever was online is 100% correct. It's an advisory document. It's a guiding document. It doesn't hold the same weight as a zoning, you know, regulation. It's just guiding. So if somebody came in and said, I want to put a development up here, you know, way up here, let's say, I want to put it there and I want you to extend sewer to that area, or I want to develop something in Middle Haddam and I want you to extend sewers there. We would look at the map, or WPCA would, but first planning and zoning would look at it and say, no, you know, that isn't consistent with our POCD. We want to only encourage extensions in this little area here or this little area here. And
Yeah, so
then
let me agree 100%. The WPCA has no capability or interest really in making planning and zoning decisions.
Right.
We don't want to make planning and zoning decisions. So, so from the standpoint of where sewers are gonna go, it's a planning and zoning decision. As the only time that WPCA would be, need to be involved, is if there's some technical reason, some engineering reason that wouldn't allow it.
No, you have, WPCA is the authority that when somebody comes in and says, I want to extend sewers, you then look at your sewer map and you say, you ask one question, is it in the service area? Yes or no? If it's yes, you have to make a decision to allow it. If it's not, then you can make a choice to extend or expand your sewer area or not. You have that full right to expand it or not. But you do have to respond to people's applications to connect to sewer. I mean, planning and zoning doesn't approve that.
What I'm saying is that our immediate response is go to planning and zoning.
Only if it's in a sewer extension, if they're extending utilities into an area that requires an 824
No,
review.
you can't tell me what our I'm proposing that our approach, and we haven't voted on it yet, but I'm gonna make a motion at some point, not now, we're not an official meeting now. That when planning and zoning comes to us and says an extension, you know.
Planning and zoning isn't coming to you.
Planning and zoning, it's an applicant.
Right, an applicant comes,
We are gonna send that applicant to planning and zoning.
statute sends them to planning and zoning for what is called an 824 review. That's, if you're extending utilities, you have to go to planning and zoning first. They have to look at their POCD, make a statement whether or not it's consistent.
Great.
They could say yes or no. If they say no, it still goes to you. You're the only authority to vote whether or not that extension actually takes place. And if planning and zoning said, no, that is not, we don't agree with that, then you have to have a supermajority to vote it through. So you can still override planning and zoning and approve the extension, but in that scenario, you'd have to have a supermajority. But ultimately, it is your WPCA and WPCA alone that votes on whether or not that extension takes place. And so what we're trying to do is make sure our maps jive. And that we all decide where is the avoidance area, and I think that's pretty easy to do. And are there any areas outside the existing sewer area right now, the areas that have pipes in the ground that are on that property? Is there anywhere that we can decide is appropriate, that could possibly be appropriate for some of the things that we are required to look for in our POCD? And that's To me, that's the purpose of this meeting. Are there any areas that we can decide on? What we're struggling with is what is the map? What is the map we're starting with?
Yeah, go ahead.
So, again, this map that just came to us, from the 2016,
I think that's the 2006.
2006. Okay. Do we have any documentation that the WPCA has approved this map?
That was the WPCA map that was just moved to the POCD.
Again, do we have meeting minutes? Do we have something that indicates that this is the official map that we should be working off of?
I do think I have something.
Okay,
Right.
because I would like to see that.
It's 2016 where it diverged.
The other thing that you were talking about not being able to develop sewer in the planning and zoning. There was a project that was slated for Middle Haddam that was trying to get sewer when Tony was working with Ted Rossi and crew and trying to get a huge development behind the school, which was not currently in the POCD. And so things do happen that are not
It did come to planning and
in the
zoning.
map. And the other concern that.
Wait a minute, back up, Ted. That
Yeah.
didn't come to planning and zoning, it wasn't discussed at planning and zoning, nobody made a decision.
That's what
about
I'm
it.
saying.
So it hadn't gotten there yet.
So
So we would have
to
had to
your
go through
point-
the 824 review, it would have had to come to WPCA, you would have had to decide
but
whether or
these are
not
all
you
the
were
back
ever gonna
things
allow.
that were going on. So you have to understand where the public has concern, because there's a lot of things that never made it to the public forum that people were talking about, not being.
Because it didn't get to them to comment on yet, so it never even made it that far. There's nothing to comment, there's nothing to
Well,
publish.
we
there's
had
nothing-
an intent for this, the dehydrated facility, so it went somewhere before.
We had an
Okay.
informational meeting.
And then the other concern I have about adding any additional areas is that planning and zoning, one of their things that is in just about every motion is that the reason for the approval is because it does comply with the POCD. So if we add extension areas in the POCD, then they have every right to expand into those areas. So I am just telling you.
No, again, WPCA is the
Well,
only
but they-
entity that
Right,
gets to
I
make
understand,
that
but they approve it and then it comes here.
No. So say you had in that scenario, planning and zoning, some applicant wants to apply for a development and it's gonna need sewer extension. The first thing they do before it gets to planning and zoning, before it does anything as in the form of an application for development, they would recognize, wait, I need to extend the sewer system, I need to extend the utilities. That triggers the the 824 review, which does come to P and Z on a general, level. Okay, we're thinking about extending utilities here. If at that point they say no, it goes to WPCA, and if at that point WPCA says no, then that application never comes before P and Z because they won't add the utilities. We don't even see it.
But the cursory review for the 824, they're going to look at the POCD to see if it meets the criteria that is set forth in the
It would
POCD.
say if it was in the sewer area.
Correct,
Right,
that's
and so
what I'm
they
saying,
said
that
no.
is my point, so I'm saying, I do not wanna see any expansions to the existing sewer area. Right now, we have a moratorium, I thought we had a 6-month extension on the POCD to get in. Do we not have a 6-month extension on the POCD?
That letter has to go in when the plan is due, so anytime now that letter can be sent.
Okay.
So that's up to the state to give you that, I don't know, but
And
back up
so-
again, you still with your POCD, I know you don't want any extensions. I get that there's some people that feel that way, so you are not the only people, there are other people that don't feel that way. And what I'm trying to emphasize is statutorily, we have to look at areas for certain things. It's not a must, a may, it's a must. We have to look at them, and what we are trying desperately to do is find areas that are already in that service area. Or as close as humanly possible to it. That's it, that's all we're doing, and I think the only areas that we came up with today were, again, the Hampton Woods, that needs to be updated, I mean, it has sewer there right now, it is in the sewer area. So that's not even an expansion of it, that's there. And I think there was some gaps in the plan that's, you know, the sewer area goes all the way around it and it's in the middle. Okay,
I
can we
would like to
compromise on that?
see that.
I think
See
so.
that plan as to what you're talking about in a visual format. We had nothing.
That's what we're trying to do
that's what we're
today.
trying to do. You said, you figured these out today. Why are we coming to a meeting and not having any idea?
No,
Trying to be
this is
prepared
the
to
working
have to tell
meeting.
you.
Ted, this is the
No.
step.
This is the meeting.
This is the.
This is about as clear as mud.
I don't think.
I know.
I'd like, just, if I may, yeah,
Sure.
Julia, just a question on these maps, by the way, I think, for the information that we have here, and where it ultimately came from, I think it's a pretty good visualization, to be quite honest, in my view. If you look at this, at the big map here, in the section on the left, it appears to me that that is exclusively what the current, what should I say? I won't say service area, I don't mean that, that's the current sewered area, is that correct?
Is it?
The
If it's in
red-
red.
Looking at this map. This
It's
one
the
here.
pipes that are in the
Yeah,
ground.
Yeah, those are the pipes. Yeah,
Say
right.
again?
Pipes in the ground.
Yeah, okay, that's pipes in the ground, so that's that, okay, I get that, that's good, that's good
The
information.
red is the pipe.
This is from,
Yes.
Okay, I'm not through here. On the map on the right, we see that same thing over here, it's duplicated, but now we have overlaid onto this map, blue hashed sections
Right,
and yellow hashed sections.
right.
Okay. The blue hash sections, it says up here in the legend, that's called the existing service area.
That can't be correct.
Which is
Hold on just a
misleading.
minute.
It means that the plant has capacity to serve that area. So that was envisioned as it really should be, what if we, that's really the future. It's potential service area.
Potential.
Okay.
Be someone's wish list.
Okay.
No, this isn't. That is not true.
well, it's not the existing service area for what you just said. And you're saying that it's what our capacity
It was
is.
based on the capacity.
But we're buying credits to make capacity, so how is it that we can expand to that great level when we have to continue to buy capacity for our existing?
Okay, so you still have capacity right now. This was, so that 2006, that's the last time you guys did a facility plan. That's my understanding. I could be wrong, but as far as I can know, that's when you did your plan. You're about to do another facilities plan that will verify what your capacity is. Yes, things have changed because of the nitrogen removal requirements, blah, blah, blah. But you probably still do have capacity. Which there's good reason right now, because you're about to do your facilities plan, to not put in a lot of areas for potential service area, because you don't know what you're, like, it's okay to pull that back. You know, and none of us, I think, are arguing with that.
This service area, anyway, this blue section, this was just somebody's projection in the past of
Yeah.
where potentially,
Right, and
Given
it's
the-
based on environmental stuff.
given the capacity of the plant, what it might be able to handle.
Right,
That's all this is. This is just a
That's it.
projection. It's not the law. It's not in stone, nothing like that. It's a planning. So to be honest with you, any or all of the blue could in fact be eliminated.
if you
But
guys as the
for-
WPCA do that.
That's
yeah.
right. But for any additional, anything additional that POCD recommends that we go along with.
Right,
Is that a correct statement?
yeah.
Planning and
Okay.
zoning.
Okay,
And the 2016 plan kind of didn't include all of those areas,
okay,
but they did have some of them.
okay. So the blue is just a representation of what in the past a WPCA thought could be serviced. Could service, might be able to, or could service. Not that they're going to do it, but potentially could.
And they
Okay.
have.
That's
in
good
some
to,
areas.
pardon me?
And they actually have, like I said, Hampton Woods, that should be,
Oh,
that would have a different color on it right now.
okay, but Hampton Woods is just a small little blue part of all of
Yeah.
the blue parts here.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, the yellow hashed area that says historical service area, Could you explain, I'm trying to,
So
if
that,
you can, how that came
Where's
about
that?
as well?
where's the 2006? So that 2006 map. And that was a capacity-based map as well. We don't know, like, that orange is definitely 2006 era for sure. Some of this blue, like, I don't know what WPCA did between 2006 and 2026, so
Fair.
I'm not entirely sure where this came from, but it's not as big as what you all, the Tony wish list. It's nowhere near that.
That makes it okay.
No, but I'm saying it isn't that. But it is based on something. It exists. Somebody came up with it in the WPCA and it's here. It's a projection.
I think what you're
We don't have
seeing
to
there
stick
is
to it though.
from the planning activities that were going on at the wastewater facility in the early 2000s. This was the area that in East Hampton and Portland that it intended to serve.
Right.
That's what I think that's what I understand that represents. The potential service area, the blue area, is what is my understanding is that there was capacity and intent at some point in the future to serve. You can see it covers areas that are currently developed. Because I think the understanding was that in those areas, it could become an issue in the future. Who knows? As Juliet says, I think if we pare this back, even if we left the other information on that says that this is potential future, and we put somewhere else in between those two things, the intended service area or something of that sort, I think that makes sense. It perhaps makes sense to pare it back and acknowledge as Ted Hintz just mentioned, that the capacity of the plant is being reevaluated. And we don't know today whether it's still 3.9 million gallons rather, or it's something else.
That's obviously important. We have to figure out because we're not the only users of the plant.
Correct.
As we all know. We have to understand what other towns are doing too, as far as growth and where we might expand it. But I think as we look at this map, especially the one on the right-hand side with all the colors, the hash blue, hash orange. I think we have to remember those are just projections, and I would submit that as WPCA takes a look at, in conjunction with what POCD is recommending or might recommend, we could strip all those colors out and rebuild those colors. We could strip all the blue out, strip all the yellow out, and then come at it fresh. We obviously know where the sewer lines run already. It is what it is, and it's where it is. So I think we could strip that out, not freak anybody out and say we're gonna have unbridled growth in this town, as some people might think. But strip out the old thoughts, reevaluate where we might expand given input from the POCD. If in fact it falls outside the current layout, and then go from there. I mean, I think how we need to proceed is to get from the POCD those areas in town where you guys think there should be or could be development that we have to think about sewer, most of which might already fall in the system and within the geography of what we serve already, and so we have virtually no expansion.
Yeah, and we'd have to update that existing sewer area map, because I know that this isn't entirely
Are
correct.
you capable of doing that?
No, I'm not.
You meaning POCD?
No, you WPCA have to do that. That's your job. Sorry. Cause you have the data. I mean, you have the map that shows where the pipes are in the ground, so you have to make sure that those are all captured in that. So we can,
Dave, can
I
we?
can, Jeremy can do that though.
To create this file, see the right one?
To create, I was looking at something, to create what map for you?
To create a map of the existing system.
Oh, sure, we can do that. I mean, we have that, that basically is the map on the left. We can confirm that and pull that GIS up, sure.
Well, Paul can't do that. Paul is not good.
We can pull that up.
But we can have Jeremy do. Carly, who's working with Tyke, who's been updating the maps.
Oh, he's there.
He can do that if he, he may have already like on one of those, this big map.
So you said I have to do it, but now.
But I
you
mean,
actually changed it.
the map that
Jeremy the guy.
we just need to confirm that all the pipes are on there, but this map on the left is essentially the map you're talking.
Okay.
Yeah, and this, he had made this map for us that, or for me, that shows, I'm just gonna highlight it with my finger. You know, so this sewer area, you know, coming around here, so, I mean, I haven't spent a
That's the
long time
potential
mapping
sewer
it up,
area.
but it's, no, this is the sewer service area.
Right.
According to him. So I have to match
Pipes
that
aren't in those areas.
with this red map to see.
I'm sorry, what?
I'm just saying to Juliet, where she was moving her finger, pipes aren't in those areas in some
No.
cases.
Well, where you don't think so?
No, when you moved your finger all the way to the left there, no.
Because like Hampton Woods is in there now. This isn't, but this area isn't.
Yeah, but if you get south of 16 in between,
Right here.
yep, that's,
But there's stuff south of 16 on here. Well, what I can have him do, what I'll have him do is say, take this map, the red, and this map, sewer area, and put the two on top of each other and let's see where we are.
make sure
And
they
to
match.
verify it with the other.
That's right.
So,
You guys can look at it, it's the
so
brown.
my approach would be with the support of my other WPCA members is to start with that map and ask planning and zoning to indicate where they would like to allow sewer extensions.
Right, and that's what this POCD steering committee is, what we are working on with members, we have members of Planning and Zoning Honor Commission. That's where we've been talking about what areas make sense.
Yeah.
And, you know, like I said, we haven't come up with any wild area outside of the service area, but 30 Long Crossing, an area up by Hampton Woods was were potentials. I think we heard loud and clear that 200 West High is off the table. I think a lot of the Middle Haddam one, I think because you have small lots, I think that was the concern back in the day, but you know, nobody wants it there, that's fine. We weren't proposing dense housing and middle housing, that's not part of the POCD or Cobalt, nothing in Cobalt. Huh?
Map and color, the coloration of your map suggests otherwise.
This isn't my map, so this is the map that.
The map is you're forwarding and projected as part of this.
No. We just discussed what the map is. The map is gonna start with the existing. And then it's gonna add maybe a
Maybe
couple
two
of
spots.
That's exactly right. Strip out all the colors.
Yeah.
Because that's just a projection from a long time ago.
We have that, that's right here.
Strip it all out.
This is what we're starting with.
Yeah, exactly.
And we're proposing maybe to add something there and to include East Hampton or Hampton Woods, because it is.
That's
in there,
exactly right.
And maybe think about those areas that are right behind like this complex.
Precisely. So strip out all these colors, add Hampton Woods and that type of thing. And then suggest where POCD is thinking about where the development needs to go that might require sewer.
Right.
If we
And that's
start
because of the
there,
housing bill, correct? We have to consider what the housing bill requires.
Yeah, we have to,
Exactly.
we are required to further fair housing, so.
Exactly.
We have to allow, and we're doing that, I mean, we're gonna make changes to allow the middle housing to.
Yep.
And we allow mixed use, which does effectively allow multifamily in
No, we're not.
certain areas. You know, so we're trying, we're gonna try to change the regulations based, for accessory dwelling units, is pretty low hanging fruit that doesn't impact the neighborhoods.
But that doesn't mean we're gonna expand sewer all over the
Right.
town. That's not the intent.
Is it worth pointing out to the public that
whatever gets proposed by the POCD will be available for public review and comment.
Right, you get two opportunities to comment on it. So, so the process moving forward, when we do get to that point. The town council is the legislative body of this town, right? Is that correct?
Yeah.
Not a town meeting, it's the town council. So the town council, will look at it and you can choose to hold a public meeting. I suggest that you do that. You can hold a public meeting, you can take public comments there, and you send planning and zoning a report or your suggestions, whatnot. The POCD steering committee and P and Z will look at those and decide right then if they want to incorporate it into the draft. I would do that using track changes at that point to capture that. Once everybody's satisfied with that, it goes up on the website for 30 days, like everybody gets to see it. The council of governments have to look at it and review. So it's up there for a little while so people can send letters or comments. And then it's scheduled for the formal public hearing for adoption by Planning and Zoning Commission, which is of course a public hearing that the public get to make comments. Anywhere during that process, to say you came in and the public had 50 comments that they wanted addressed, I would bet my life, because I should be there at that meeting, that the Planning and Zoning Commission would not close that public hearing that night. They would consider those changes in the POCD steering committee. We would be talking about it and figuring out how to work them in. And once everybody hashes it all out, then the P and Z would approve.
So I propose the following process to come to a map that represents sewers. And that is we prepare this map, this bare bones map. The POCD proposes
I think we
modest
can do
changes
that right now.
you're talking about.
Right.
And
That's
then, and then we, the WPCA or whatever group is appropriate, send that to planning and zoning and ask them for their agreement on that.
No, this
So you can't tell me no, I can send it to planning and zoning.
you can't.
And I
it's
can
not the
require.
appropriate process. So the POCD steering committee is the body tasked by the Planning and Zoning Commission to bring them that draft, including.
Well, you're saying
The
you
draft
need
piece of
WPCA to do a map. I'm saying for WPCA to do a map, I want planning and zoning to buy in. How is that impossible?
They are gonna buy in, they're on our POCD steering committee, so they are buying in, but they get a chance to look at that too. This is, what we're proposing is just a draft, right? So it gets in front of P and Z, it gets in front of town council
There's
first.
this and there's this. This is the map, this is the whole thing.
Right, so.
I'm
we're
asking
putting
them
this
to
map in
just
front
buy
of
in,
them.
just buy into the map. Why is that even difficult?
Because it's not part of our purview.
It's not part of the process per se.
It's not part of planning and zoning's responsibilities, purview, whatever you want to call it. We're not going to act on it, whether you personally feel it's necessary, it's not part of the process. And we can't start making exceptions to the process, or it like goes wide open, is uncontrollable.
Planning and zoning just can't vote on things because they want to vote.
We have a role and we believe we should stick to that role, just as you all have a role.
Right. So what we wanted to come here today, and I think we are pretty clear that we are gonna start from the very small version.
Yes.
Existing, that's where we're starting from.
Yes.
Is everybody on board with that?
Yes.
And that we're gonna add the Hampton Woods property because
It's
that's
there.
in there, and we're gonna look for any other ones that potentially are there and not
Yes,
correctly identified here.
yes.
Can we have a discussion about, is there any appetite for any other of the parcels near Hampton Woods or 30 Long Crossing, which is a commercial zone, which will be allowed to have middle housing anyway? So to me, it's like, well, there's a win-win that you satisfy the state statute by identifying an area that's gonna have it anyway, might as well put it on the map. Same with Hampton Woods, which will be on the map. And so you're really only asking for, and not across the street from 201, I'm talking behind. That's the only, I think those are the only areas that we talked about, correct? Yes. And the village is already in it, so those are the only areas. it's, and the only one up in the air in my mind is by Hampton Woods, there are some bigger parcels, so if you guys are all looking at me like, no, then we won't put it in, but 30 Long Crossing, I think you're gonna get it anyway, so.
To a large extent, the map is a snapshot now. And in the future, I mean, the next POCD, it'll be different, maybe.
Yeah.
So there's nothing permanent.
You can change it next year if you want.
Yeah.
Right.
There's
It's
nothing
supposed to be
permanent.
a working document. It's not supposed to be, you slam it in every 10 years. It's supposed to be a working document.
You can update it every year if some circumstance changes, you know, like you all decide like, oh, wow, this is a really good opportunity. Let's amend the map.
So you were gonna prepare the map
No.
that you just described.
Get it prepared.
I'm gonna hopefully convince Jeremy to do that for us.
We'll get it prepared.
Okay,
I'm not in favor of Long Crossing. I'll tell you that.
What would go there if they don't put housing in? It has to be developed, it's already been torn apart. It's a
Oh,
commercial
and
property, so
but
should
you know
it be
what,
commercial business?
my thing is. I wanna see. It's approved right now with septic, 7 commercial lots. It can do whatever housing, if it's going to be something expanded beyond that. I wanna see what the plan would be for blanketly just saying.
It would be great to see a plan.
Well, and I
It could
thought,
be
and I talked to.
Fabulous to see a plan.
No, you won't, I've already talked to Wayne about it, and he's like, I
When
haven't
he
decided yet, I just want sewer, and then I'll tell you what I'm gonna do with it. And I don't agree with that mindset, and I'm not gonna support that, I'm sorry. I do, if you don't have a
Okay,
plan of what it's gonna do,
trying to-
I am not gonna support the sewer. Period, end of story, that's
The
me.
potential there could be is multifamily housing. That is the potential you're
Good,
looking at.
whatever
Or-
you can get in on subject, put it in.
Okay, Ted,
But we don't need to talk about that particular issue right now. The matter of whether it goes into the plan or not can be debated later. But we understand what you're saying, and there is no specific plan there. We just need to decide whether we're gonna serve it with sewer or not.
and quite frankly, you may have no choice going forward. You know, if you continue to resist housing everywhere, the state is going to step in. There's sewer close enough to that. You already approved an extension to that area, so it actually already is in your sewer area because the A24 went through and WPCA approved it. It is part of the sewer area, so it actually should be in there right now. And if somebody comes in with a housing project and WPCA says no, what's gonna happen? They're gonna go to the DEP and say, can I have a package of permission for a package plan? The developer can do that, put their own treatment plan in. The DEP will be like, you absolutely no, you may not do that. You will connect to the existing sewer. Now,
But
would
then
you
what-
rather pay for that or the developer? I would hope that fiscally responsibility.
yeah, so let's not use, I mean, this is just a map. And it isn't any approval of anything by the WPCA.
If it
Right,
goes
you've already
to the
approved it.
POCD, then one step closer to being approved. I am not in favor of putting that parcel in this.
But I think you already have. Dave, correct me if I'm wrong. They went through the A24 process.
They did.
WPCA approved that extension, did they not?
The WPCA, the A24 was done, the WPCA, approved the engineering drawings, but came to no final approval of the permission to actually do the construction.
No, but did they approve, they took a vote to approve the extension as recommended in the A24 review. It went to the next body, which was WPCA to vote on.
I said what I said. They approved the construction engineering drawings of that project, but never came to an agreement with the developer on the permit.
I'm not talking about the project. There's a,
It doesn't matter, Juliet. We're not gonna have that conversation right now.
I'm sorry, I'm gonna override that as the chair of the POCD steering committee. We have to have that conversation. So
No,
what
no,
I'm
we don't.
asking is,
No, we don't.
if
No, we
we,
don't.
if we have to have it because I have to be able to draw this map.
If we're getting an extension, we have 6 months to decide on that.
So-
I have to decide that.
I will go back and find the minutes, but I'm pretty sure that the A24 request was to extend utilities to an area. That's what it showed. Yes, there's a map, and it shows an extension to an area. That
That
is approved.
disrespect, Ted, is disgusting. It is absolutely disgusting, your behavior being so disrespectful to her, and that is why we lost another town plan.
Here, there. That was approved by WPCA. that extension was approved. So effectively, we did approve an extension to the area of 8 Aldens and stubbing at 30 Long Crossing. The development project, yes, you got to a certain point, you never did the developers agreement, that's stalled. But the 824 went through and was voted on by the WPCA to extend the sewer, the utility to an area, effectively adding it to your service area. That's what occurred. So we are asking, acknowledge that,
Julia,
acknowledge East.
Can we see that paperwork? Because so this is what's so
Absolutely.
frustrating is the fact that we can't sit here and have a civil discussion and be respectful. Karen is absolutely right. Why is it that it's so hard to be civil with each other and get documentation and look at it and then make decisions based on that? I'm so sick of the disrespect, Ted. Because you are so disrespectful to so many people and it's so, I will point my finger at you.
You know what?
I will point
Maybe
my
if we
finger
come
at
to a
you.
meeting, we actually have information to discuss and look at. I am.
This is
No.
exchanging information and ideas.
In front of us here. You're
God
certain
damn.
time.
All right, let's come.
Prior to this meeting, not you sitting here lecturing.
Nobody's lecturing. We're getting information. Obviously,
That
the
is
public came in
incorrect.
here
She's
not even
lecturing
knowing
us
what
on
was going
What
on.
we have to do, what we don't have to do, and we have no.
Why is it
documentation.
so hard to exchange information and to learn? Do you know everything, Ted?
No.
Then
I
learn
don't even
and
have anything
listen.
to read and
God.
know, because I'm sorry, I don't trust her.
It's a
You don't
workshop.
trust anybody except yourself.
That is not true.
Bull.
Okay, I'm calling meeting back to order, please. So I think we have an agreement of how to move forward.
What a plain,
What?
a clean map.
A clean
How's
map
that?
with
With
some extensions that
Yeah.
either already done or approved. And
Absolutely. And then the other thoughts POCD has and will evaluate it.
Yes, which I don't
is our
think is beyond that.
responsibility.
Yeah, I think we all agree that map, like, put it away, it's too confusing anyways, right?
yeah,
It's-
well,
We get too many.
that
different
map was
colors
never
right
gonna
now.
be, that was never gonna be in that.
No, but we got too many different things going on, it's busy.
Strip it out, start from the basics, work it from there.
And you
No
all, the
preconceived
WPCA will be
Yeah,
in your
that's
facilities
exactly
plan.
upsetting.
You will be determining whether or not you
Yeah,
have
that's a year away
capacity,
though.
right, in a
Okay.
year. You will determine whether or not you have capacity, and then you can reevaluate that map if you say, okay, we do have X amount of capacity. And, I mean, you could even leave it at that, we have X amount of capacity, then if a developer comes in and wants to extend the utility area, you can be like, well, yeah, we could change our map because we do have capacity. We can make that a future area and then allow it to happen. So none of this is set in stone.
Mhm.
It's just that we do have to, shall put a map in that plan that does have these areas identified, and that's what we are recommending. I don't think we're going outside of the litter box here as far as recommending huge areas for development. We're not doing that.
And the important thing is all of what is being proposed has been given to us through neighborhood meetings, focus groups, visioning sessions. It's not that we made this up. We took what we got from the public and incorporated it into the plan that's going to be. It isn't yet, it is going to be. The draft is going to be done and it's going to go out to the public for everybody to see. POCD hasn't made any decisions on anything.
Period.
And this map is an old map that you guys are looking at or that are assuming, am I correct?
Yeah.
That people are assuming that this is what's gonna happen,
Right.
correct? And it's not.
We're just trying to figure out what the base map
What's the
is.
base that we have? And so the base that we have is the current sewer, which the current map that we're gonna obtain, where we can see where the current service area is, and then the decisions will get made off of that.
Then
correct?
recommendations will be made.
Recommendations.
And then
Exactly.
public will weigh in, town council will weigh in.
Exactly.
E and Z will weigh in.
And the public will weigh in.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
we made no determinations on maps. The whole point of this meeting this evening was to look at these maps, work with WPCA and come up with something. So sitting out there and saying that we've done this, if we haven't done anything yet. The draft hasn't been done yet.
Okay, any more comments? Okay,
What
is the
statute that you keep referring to? Chapter 124, so.
Chapter
If- if you-
124 of where?
General, Connecticut General Statute.
Okay,
Chapter 124, or just type Google in
Chapter
statute
124.
pertaining to POCD.
And this is, what the state of Connecticut is, indicating that they want town to, come up with as far as needs for existing, for
Minimum.
more housing. Is that what you're referring
Well,
to?
this is the main planning statute that guides all of planning and zoning.
Okay, I just wanted to know.
And it's what, that every 10 year we have to come up with a plan of conservation and development, which does have to contain a future land use map that does have to show certain information, and there's certain information that's supposed to be addressed in the document.
Okay, thank you.
And when is that plan due to the state?
Mark.
So we'll be notifying the state tomorrow that we do not have the plan yet and that our expected time frame is by the end of the year.
Gotcha. And so working backwards, we're trying to figure out the meetings going forward. So the public should have a draft. I think September, I'd say. September, October is probably when it'll hit planning and zoning, or, hit the first part of that process. I have it written out. I will send that to you all if you really want it.
So I
okay,
did,
thank you.
way back when I did look at that questionnaire that came out for the planning commission of development. I mean, it was biased, it was leading, it was all about development.
We have
it was all
no
about
public remarks. Meeting is adjourned.
I move
in one direction only.
This is a.
You still, purposely looking for areas.